We are live for another edition of the All Sports Matters podcast. I am one of your hosts, one of the brothers, Amir Sharaz Ortiz, aka Poppy Ortiz 02. And heck, for the sake of where I'm at right now, Mr. I Got Kids, I am live, coming to you live from the state of Utah, the home of the NBA All-Star Game that's happening this weekend. And before we get to every in particular, I'm going to bring on my brother Rob. Almost got his two legs again, Mr. Desmond Robinson.
I'm almost back mobile in a couple more weeks, baby. I'm almost there.
That is amazing to hear. I know the road to recovery is never it's never easy, obviously. You know, not one injury is the same as others. Right. How you recovering? Let's get personal. How you recovering right now?
Hey man, I'm hanging in there. Physical therapy was a beast this week, but I'm getting there, man. Trying to build that, get my range of motion back, and see what I can do in a couple more weeks and whatnot. And hopefully I'll be able to get off these crutches in the next 3 weeks. So.
And it's amazing to hear. Pain wise, what are you feeling? Talk to me.
Oh, it's been a rough one, but Lord have mercy. Thanks for CBD gummies. They are amazing, and they help me. They help me through a lot, and I'm grateful.
The CBD. Well, we're not endorsing anything, obviously.
No, we're not endorsing that.
No, of course not. But I want to be nosy here. I've got my head down because I was sharing to all the different groups that we are a part of. But I'm intrigued. Maybe we'll talk about this on the side. But I'm intrigued about some CBD gummies. You know?
I'll send you a picture of the gummies that I utilize. They're pretty awesome, and they help me at night because that's where the pain comes most when I'm at night trying to get some rest. And I got to get into it. The gummies, man, they've been coming through in the clutch, so I'm very grateful.
That is amazing. Like I said, this weekend is the NBA All-Star Game, but we're not going to start on that. It's crazy because last week was the Super Bowl, right? And then we started on NBA basketball because it was a crazy trade deadline. We had players go left and right. Superstars was traded this past week, or last week, I should say, with Kevin Durant and Kyrie starting off the top two. But we did have a Super Bowl, right? We had a Super Bowl. We just went through the Super Bowl last Sunday. All of us picked the Eagles one way or another. My heart went with the Chiefs, but we all picked the Eagles. What says you? How you like the game? Talk to me.
I think that was one of the best Super Bowls we've had in a long time. Around after halftime, it seemed like a very evenly matched team-wise Super Bowl until the last few minutes. A call that a lot of people feel shouldn't have been made was made, even though
So I'll stop it right there. Good or bad call?
I mean, it was a good call. It was a good call, but should it have been called? Probably not. I am going to be honest with you. I wouldn't have called it because just like I'd have looked at it like the NBA. When you're in the NBA and you're in the finals, you're not going to make those calls in the last minute where somebody grabs someone's shirt. I'm just being honest, you're not going to do it.
Since we're on the subject of fouls, penalties, finals, Jordan 96 push-off. Was that a foul or not?
No. Wasn't no push-off, no.
No, he didn't push Byron Russell a little bit. He didn't escort.
Look, he just let him use the rest of his motion. Gave him a little assistance, you know. He was already heading in that direction, you know. Clear the way, baby. You know what I mean?
We're making sure. But let's get back on subject. We'll stay on subject. Mm-hmm. This time last year, the Rams won the Super Bowl based off a 4th and 10 or 4th and whatever it was. It was 4th or some yards. Right. And they threw a holding call against Cooper Kupp. Yep. They ended up scoring a touchdown and winning the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Which one is more egregious?
That's a good one. I would say I would go with this one. I would go with the one this year. I honestly think that was a non-catchable ball by Juju because we're talking about somebody who had.
Yeah, it was nowhere near him.
He was not even going to be close to catching that. So That one had more of an egregious effect on the outcome of the game, I think. Um, would they have won still without it last year? I would wager that they probably would have. Cooper Cup was playing out of his mind in that game, so who knows? But yeah, I think this one was a little bit more egregious.
I want to slowly welcome all the viewers that we have, whether on Facebook and or YouTube, and we are, especially today, we're asking you guys to chime in. We want to make sure we don't miss a comment, we don't miss an opinion. We want to make sure we get it all, especially when it comes to last week's Super Bowl. Did the Eagles get robbed? So it's crazy to me because Mahomes threw for what, 182 yards?
Like I think it was like 182 or 178 or something like that. It was nothing.
That's a little bit crazy, but he made every play that needed to be made on one leg. There's no doubt that we just saw one leg. He was playing on one leg, and everybody was like, "Oh, it was staged." I will tell you right now, since I have a Boston viewer with me, this was not Kurt Schilling and the sock fiasco that we had in that ALCS. Yankees. Yeah, I always thought I was catch-up packet, but whatever. That's just me being me. But Kurt Schilling pitched an amazing game on one bad ankle, and Patrick Mahomes played an amazing game on one bad ankle as well. You know, we said it before. A high ankle sprain takes 4 weeks at least.
At least 4 to 6 weeks
to at least walk. We're not even talking about play. We're just talking about walk. Without a walking boot, without assistance. And yeah, he had a week off due to media week for the Super Bowl, but Patrick Mahomes is definitely the superstar that we all seen, and that performance has put him on top of the leaderboard. And speaking of leaderboard, many media members have Patrick Mahomes as the second best quarterback of all time.
Right.
Agree or disagree? Hit me. What you think?
I look, I'm not putting him as the second best. I'm sorry. He still has some work to put in, but to me, that's like crazy. I mean, yeah, put him up there. I say put him at, I would put him somewhere like 6 or 7 as far as top QBs go, maybe even 5. But I definitely would not say number 2. So you're saying he's better than Peyton Manning. You're saying he's better than Drew Brees, Dan Marino, John Elway. Come on, seriously, like really? And I think he's amazing. I think Patrick Mahomes is a beast, but I'm not putting him that high.
So I would add to that. I'm pretty sure they're going with 5 starting years, 5 AFC championships. I think that's the mantra that. Again, this is main media. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about ESPN, Fox Sports. We're talking about the guys that get paid millions for what we do for free. You know? Yeah. So they're adding that. They're saying he already surpassed Peyton Manning already. Dan Marino's not even in discussion. The only one he has to be in competition with, obviously, is Tom Brady and Joe Montana.
And that's the other part. So he's above Joe Montana?
That's where they got him right now.
Yeah. Hey, look, I love Patrick Mahomes, but I'm not doing that. I'm sorry. He still has work to do before I can put him in that conversation.
So I will, since you're talking about he has work to do, I will ask you, with him having 2 Super Bowls in 5 seasons, 5 straight, 5 consecutive AFC championships. Can he surpass Tom Brady in 7 Super Bowls?
Oh, no question. If he continues pushing it as hard as he's pushing, he's going to shatter that. But it's going to depend on a lot of different things. Like, can he have Travis Kelce healthy during that time period? Can they grow another young wide receiver that can be that additional weapon that Tyreek Hill was? And can they all stay together? And can he keep a healthy offensive line to keep him protected? And how long is Andy Reid going to be there? Because since Andy Reid is the one that, quote unquote, they say makes all the offensive play calls, what happens when Andy Reid leaves? Because he's what, almost, he's like 60, 65, 66?
I thought he was 62.
Is he 62?
I think I could obviously
he's somewhere in that 60, mid 60 range. So how much longer can he go?
You're not wrong, and I believe Andy Reid actually wanted to retire a couple of years ago, but he wants to play out how far he can go with Mahomes.
Yeah.
And that's
understandably.
I don't blame him. I don't see how far this train goes.
Right.
But you hit something on the nail. Like this season, Mahomes was how can I put it? Was compared to what Aaron Rodgers was supposed to do without Devontae Adams. You follow me here? So once the Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill, they were saying that was pretty much the end of the AFC dominance of Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Right.
That obviously didn't play to the narrative or the script that the NFL or these conspiracy theorists sort of say that they have, So to me, that's insane. Yeah. But you said something. How far can Kelsey go? How far can Mahomes go? They already re-signed Mahomes to about 41 million year contract. And we talked about last week that the narrative will change as far as NFL quarterbacks. We're talking Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson immediately here next season.
Yeah.
So does Mahomes turn around and ask for more money after that? We don't know if that's going to be an issue.
Because think about it, they got him right now. You're talking about they got him at pretty much a bargain price for what he performs at, the level he performs at. So what happens if he wins another Super Bowl or two? Will he come back to the table? Because how much is it guaranteed? Like 200-300 mil?
No, nobody's higher than Deshaun Watson at 220 right now.
So he'll be under the 220 mil cap right now.
Yeah,
so,
Deshaun Watson got the highest guaranteed contract.
So I'm wondering, are they going to spread the guarantee out over years, or is it going to be front loaded?
To Deshaun? Or
no, I'm talking about to Patrick Mahomes. I wonder if his guaranteed money is front loaded or is it?
No, it's always going to be spaced out unless they restructure into a signing bonus.
And they'll probably restructure it. Say if depending on his performance for the next 2 years, I would not be surprised to see him come back and get it restructured. And
I'm looking forward to the AFC because Pat Mahomes did something this season that was totally unexpected, and you got young guns and Josh Allen. Bills, Joe Burrow, Bengals.
Yeah.
And hell, we're throwing Herbert in this. They still haven't won a playoff game. So we'll pause the break on that. But they're still good, obviously. Still good. Yeah. So there's a lot more competition in the AFC than it is the NFC.
Right. Now I got a question. So as far as Josh Allen goes, is he now not the second or third best quarterback in the AFC?
No, not at all. I
didn't think so.
Again, this is me personally. I always had Joe Burrow above Josh Allen. Not always. As of last season.
Last 2 years.
Yeah, the last 2 seasons, I moved Joe Burrow to the front.
I agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
And mainly for the reasons Bills haters who watch this later, and I know they're not on right now, Bengals didn't have an O-line. Period.
Yeah, right.
And Joe Burrow still did what Joe Burrow did with no offensive line. And it wasn't until the AFC Championship this year would have bit him in the butt finally. But Joe Burrow still that dude to me. He's proven winner. He was one penalty away from winning the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah. And with that offensive line, that's what's even more amazing. The offensive line they have is not the greatest. And he's still a monster. He is still a monster. Joe Burrow, yes. Somebody asked the question in the chat box.
Yeah, let me. Well, the reason I didn't acknowledge it because only one guy chiming in, and he's one, my best friend. So
Oh,
let me go
that's
up and
okay.
say, if so, I got every right to ignore him. That's a little personal. So,
Okay, good,
couple
good.
comments. If we would have gone out and the Eagles would have won, would have been an asterisk like my fantasy wins. I'm gonna start off with saying there's nothing about my wins that says asterisk at this point. Okay, those rumors
Yeah,
have died
yeah,
down. I'm a proven winner. We're going to move on. Is he the LeBron of football?
yeah.
No, he's not the LeBron of football. Please.
Nah, I
Now,
wouldn't go that far yet.
I'm going to put these last two questions that he has together. Does Burrow have more weapons, and would Allen do better with the weapons Burrows have? Answers are yes and no. Yes, Burrow has more weapons, but B, Josh Allen is not that quarterback to stay in the pocket and throw to those weapons. He got Stefon Diggs, who to me potentially is better than Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. Potentially. So
And he has what's his name also, number 13.
you got Gabe Davis, yes.
Gabe Davis. Yeah.
So he has weapons. As a collective, that wide receiver group in Cincinnati is better, yes. But you moved into Buffalo, Josh Allen game is still going to be check one, check two, run one, throw third down and 6. You know what I'm saying? Josh Allen's game is a little bit different. Joe Burrow ain't running. Joe Burrow is
unless he has to. Unless he has to,
yeah. Joe Burrow is definitely throwing downfield. Yeah, that's the one thing I was actually disappointed in. I'm glad you brought that up. Better running back Cincinnati.
That's what I was just about to say.
I was disappointed because they didn't use Mixon at all in that AFC Championship game.
No.
He was missing. I don't think they used Mixon at all in the playoffs. If I'm looking at these Bengals games, they changed the game plan almost completely when they got to the playoffs. And Samaj P. had more playing time than Mixon did in that AFC Championship game.
Yeah.
So that's something to look out for in the future. I know that's something they talked about. If we're talking about it, so the Eagles. Let's turn this a little bit to. And I hate to say the losing team because they did not deserve to lose. Unfortunately, somebody has to lose. Jalen Hurts quite possibly played the best game of any quarterback or any player in Super Bowl history.
It's hard to dispute it.
Ran for 3 touchdowns, threw for 1, over 300 yards passing, 70 yards rushing. He was a one-man gang.
Yeah.
He was a one-man gang, and that was just, to me, one of the best performances I've ever seen. I don't know what went wrong. Actually, I do. The Eagles defense. That was obvious.
That's one thing.
Where was Hassan Reddick? Where was Fletcher Cox? Where was Ndamukong Suh? Where was Linval Joseph? Where was all these guys that was so prolific in this great regular season that the Eagles have that they decided to take the Super Bowl off? What happened? They want to pin it down on a holding call, which is okay, but they forgot what happened prior to that. What happened?
Yeah. Well, the other issue also is, where was Miles Sanders? Because he got outperformed by the backup running backs. The backup running backs outperformed him by leaps and bounds. So what happened to their 1,000-yard running back?
I will tell you what happened.
Why did he disappear? Like, they needed him in this game. This is the game where he should have stood up.
So I'll tell you exactly what happened to Miles Sanders. I know this kind of personally. Miles Sanders disappeared somewhat towards the last 3 games of the regular season.
Yep.
Because he is an upcoming free agent.
And that's crazy to me. You should want to perform better at the end of the season so that you can lock in your contract.
But the thing is, the way the Eagles' core is structured, Boston Scott, Kenneth Gainwell could easily pick up that slack that Miles Sanders had. They didn't unleash Jalen Hurts throughout the season the way they unleashed them in the Super Bowl. So even though he had a great year, he didn't have this performance in one given game. He had it sporadically. We get it. He was an MVP candidate. We get it. but Jalen Hurts literally put it all together in the Super Bowl. And it showed that we don't need Miles Sanders. And that's exactly what they went out and did. And now the Eagles defense.
I don't think it's more so that they don't need Sanders. I honestly think they need a dominant running back to make it to where you have to make a decision what you're going to do now. Yeah, Jalen runs and throws, but if you have another dominant, like pound the ball running threat, i.e., like since they have a high pick in the draft this year, a couple of them, I'm sorry, what if they draft Bijan Robinson?
That'll, and that's probably one thing they're counting on.
Yeah, because I'm telling you right now,
a lot of scouts got them dropping down to the late teens, where they can pick him up at 10.
They could easily pick him up at 10. And I mean, can you imagine a Bijan Robinson in that offense? That'll be another weapon that young, good pass catcher out of the backfield, hard-nosed runner through the holes, great player. Or even if, say, Bijan is gone, say they mess around, and I know everybody's going to be like, of course he's going to say this, but Jahmyr Gibbs out of Alabama, another good running back, fast, catches the ball well.
Is he a first rounder?
Oh yeah, he's going first round. I'm pretty sure he's a late first rounder, but I would not be surprised if somebody take a stab at him, because depending on what his numbers look like at the combine coming up, he may climb the boards even faster, because he was over 1,000 yards rushing, and he had almost 1,000 yards pass catching as well. So he's a dominant running back, and he's a good run blocker. He's a very good back to have, but the clear-cut dominant running back in the draft is Bijan Robinson, no question.
Since we're talking about losing, unfortunately, and I hate to word it like that.
Yeah, it's sad.
Like I said, one team obviously has to lose. There's no ties in the Super Bowl or playoffs. The Eagles continue to lose even after the Super Bowl, when they lost both of their coordinators, offensive, defense. We'll briefly talk about this, since it is a major story in sports today. Losing both coordinators, one to the Colts and one to the Cardinals, right? Yes, one to the Colts, one to the Cardinals. And today, the Chiefs lost their offensive coordinator, Bieniemy, to the Washington Commodores. I'll start out with who lost more as far as the coaching before we get to the new teams. I'll ask you that. Who lost more?
I don't know if anybody lost more than the Philadelphia Eagles. You have to completely revamp now your offense and your defensive coordinator positions, and you got to go out here now and try to find a two new coordinators after losing all the other coordinators have moved on.
And I also want to add, which nobody's really talking about, and I'm sorry to cut you off, is one other assistant coordinator is talking to the Seahawks about taking their defensive coordinator job. Also,
yep, I just saw that earlier today.
Oh, they're continuing to lose. But the reason I asked that question, because you got those three coordinators, if assuming he takes the Seahawks job, is Andy Reid losing, or Andy Reid now throwing Mahomes? Are they losing a stud coordinator, future head coach, I'm calling it, in Eric Bieniemy?
I'm saying yes, because like they said after the Super Bowl, that Bieniemy saw something and made an adjustment to help them get the ball rolling so they could start the comeback. And I'm like, okay. I was like, I don't think people truly will understand Eric Bieniemy's true impact to that offense until he's gone, which is now. So what happens now moving forward? Like, what happens if they don't win a Super Bowl in the next year or two, and then the Washington Comanche Chiefs turn around and they're in contention, or they win their division and go into the playoffs, and they have an explosive offensive game.
Well, so I'm torn because the enemy is not going into a team that's that's built for winning right now.
No. I mean, they have a good defense, but
I know why he took the job. I really do. I knew why he took the job. It was more of to get under the shadow of Andy Reid. But why the Commodores? I don't.
And honestly, if I would have left, I would have went to Philly.
So you would have switched it up and
yeah. I would have switched it up.
Actually, interesting choice. There, I didn't think about that. Considering they now have a lot of open vacancies on that coaching staff.
Yeah, I would have went to Philly and changed the game up and built my offense around Jalen Hurts and that offense, and been extremely dominant. Because
they have a whole team ready to win right now. Hell,
ready to win right now.
They're winning as we speak.
Right.
You know. So yeah, they have the picks in the future. Thank you, New Orleans.
Yeah,
you're not wrong at all about that. I never thought you actually threw me for a loop because I would have pressed pause on that and I would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna interview to the Eagles tomorrow.
Yes.
Well, we don't know. That's why I'm intrigued by the whole conversation because we don't know what the Eagles want at this point, other than what direction they're headed. And obviously they have their quarterback of the future. They have the wide receivers. You know, A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are not going anywhere.
Right.
But pretty much everybody else is quite possibly. I think Dallas Goedert signed an extension. But outside of that, they don't have. Maybe the defense is probably what they're going to have to fix up some.
And they will. And if they listen, like I saw, yesterday or the day before, I saw Herm Edwards talking about Jalen Hurts and his contract, and he made a pretty good point. Like, if they're smart, they'll lock him up like the Mahomes deal for 10 years.
Oh,
and I was like, well, that would be smart because you're getting him at today's price. And
I think all the organizations are waiting till Lamar Jackson signs first.
Oh, yeah.
I think once Lamar Jackson signs or gets franchised, either or, then the rest of the NFL will react to saying, okay, the market hasn't reset. We can still do it based upon the old, the old market, I guess. So they can couple comments here. They can have Joe Judge as offensive coordinator and former Lions head coach as the defensive coordinator. No, nobody wants anything Patriot-wise anymore.
Yeah.
I do agree. If he proves himself in Washington, then owners have no excuse on why he doesn't deserve a look at head coach. And I'm glad you wrote owners down because this will be the only time I will agree with that president of the Cowboys delusional fan club. What's his name?
Jerry Jones.
No, the ones that was on First Take and got fired. I'm drawing a blank right now.
Oh, Skip Bayless.
Yeah, Skip Bayless. I was thinking Steele. Skip said today on his show, again, this is the only time I agree with him. You have old white owners who don't know and don't want to know how to interact with young black coaches and their wives. He made sure he threw that in there as the reason why black coaches are not getting hired. It wasn't my plan to go this route, but there's no way I can ignore it. Rob, what says you?
So I was just looking at the comment about, proving itself. And I've had this conversation many a time this week. So why didn't Matt Nagy have to prove himself? He's never called a play in his entire career, I don't think. I'm pretty sure because he was under Andy Reid and he got a head coaching position and he didn't do well. Doug Peterson, another one. He didn't call plays under Andy Reid and he got a head coaching shot. And it's just really funny that the one guy who is an offensive coordinator under Andy Reid is the one that has to prove that he can stand up be offensive get a shot? How does he have to get a fair shot? Joe Judge didn't call plays, and we all know how that played out. It just makes it's really kind of suspect to watch and see.
No, well,
I wish him well. I hope he does well.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. Yeah. Exactly like I said. Do you really believe that the old white owners do not want to talk to young black men? And again, we don't even call them young because we're talking about 40, 50, 60-year-olds. Black men, black coaches who know, skill positions.
And I'm not going to say all.
You think that's true that the old white owners just don't know how to relate to these black coaches?
And I'm not going to say all owners because the Houston Texans owner continues to show that he will hire black head coaches in a heartbeat. Now, they may not have a job long, but he will hire them. I think that DeMeco Ryans
1 year black coaches.
Yeah, back to back. Now, I don't think that's going to be the same with DeMeco Ryans because one, he's a former player from the Houston Texans who was drafted by the Houston Texans, who came and literally set a culture on the team and literally is well respected in that community. So I think DeMeco Ryans plus his football acumen makes him to where I think he's going to do well. But it's not looking good as far as I'm concerned. Yes, I don't think as a black head coach you're going to get a fair shot. And one other coach, now that I think about it, I just thought about it. The Miami head coach. Do you think he called plays? You think he the current one. Do you think he called plays you think he called plays in San Francisco under Shanahan?
No, of course.
Exactly.
Not.
But
he was a defensive coordinator, right? McDaniel was a defensive coordinator.
Who was?
I thought Mike McDaniel was a defensive coordinator.
No, he was an offensive coordinator. But there's no way you're going to tell me he called all the plays for the San Francisco 49ers.
I want to throw two names out there, and I want to see where you're at with these two. And I know there's two different cases, and I will go back. One that Carolina just hired to be a top advisor, Jim Caldwell, who I believe hasn't gotten a fair chance to coach after taking the Lions to a 9-7 record, which is unheard of for the Lions. After Calvin Johnson,
right?
So, what do you think about Jim Caldwell and his situation?
It's a travesty the way that he's been handled, and the fact that he has not gotten a fair shot at being a head coach since Detroit, which he shouldn't have been fired for. He shouldn't have been fired from that position in the first place. But the fact that he is still not gotten a fair shake to be a head coach is just bananas to me. And it's not going to change. It's not going to change.
So
no time soon.
No, I agree. I thought he was an excellent head coach. So I didn't know why Indy didn't take a chance on him when they brought him in. But that was weird to me that Jim Irsay was going this route with the mess that he made in Indianapolis. But the other coach that I thought about, his name came up this week when it's been publicized that he turned down the head coaching job for the Arizona Cardinals to take a defensive coordinator position to the Minnesota Vikings. I'm talking about Brian Flores.
Right.
Why do you think that happened?
I think Brian Flores is going to be very selective about where he goes due to the fact that I think he is still not very trusting of the process. And I think if he doesn't get a good vibe or feel for the situation, or if he feels that it will be another detrimental situation to his career, I think he would rather go to an environment where he can flourish than to take a chance and not be able to control what happens.
So I'll take the narrative. I'm sorry to cut you off. I'll take the narrative.
No, you're good.
I want to add to your point. In Arizona, anyway, trusting the process, trusting the Cardinals, And there was another coach that got
Mhm.
offered that job that didn't take it by the name of Sean Payton. And he was vocal in saying he didn't want nothing to do with Kyler Murray. Do you think is that the reason why Brian Flores turned down that job?
I'm quite sure, especially after having the fiasco with how he felt about Tua. I don't think he wanted anything. I don't think he would wanted to touch the Kyler Murray situation.
I can see that, and we're going to keep on moving because we're just trying to hit these points and get out of your way so you can enjoy your Friday evening. But speaking of losing, since we're on the term of losing, another person has lost this week that's in the NFL, and he goes by the name of Alvin Kamara. He lost when he got indicted this week, along with 3 other people, one including a Cincinnati Bengals player that I don't really know his name on top of my head right now, but I know he was active with the Bengals at some point. How do you see this playing out?
Not good. Anybody who has him on their fantasy team, I would go ahead and look at going to move on because he's going to be suspended at least 6 games.
I just want to throw it out there. I just want to throw that out there that I traded Alvin Kamara for Tyreek Hill a few years back. Won 2 titles since then. No asterisk needed, thank you. But I'm glad I don't have Alvin Kamara no more. Not saying who does, but it's not me, Mr. Two Belts.
Yeah, pretty much. He's not going to be available no time soon, and I hate that. I like the guy. I think he's a phenomenal player, but this is going to carry. It's going to carry through the season, and it's going to affect their season greatly because when you have a guy like that, and they're not on the team and they're not available, you're going to feel that of the ripple effect from that. And that may be part of the reason why I don't think David Carr is going to come there. Or Derek Carr. Sorry.
Well, he's in New York right now, and a lot of people don't believe he's even going to sign there because they're waiting on Aaron Rodgers to come out of his ayahuasca trip in Peru before he makes a decision. But he's been all over the place. At first, it was 4 days in darkness in his house. Now he traveled to Peru. I don't get Aaron Rodgers either way.
I don't either.
I'll ask you, though, since we're on the subject, would you take Aaron Rodgers now for your future, or would you take Derek Carr?
If you're trying to win right now, Aaron Rodgers.
Right now.
If you're trying to win right now,
Rodgers about to hit 40. Rodgers about to hit 40, though.
Would you take 2 years of Aaron Rodgers to get possibly 2 Super Bowl wins, or would you rather get Derek? It's a hard decision, man, because
I don't think you're seeing this the right way. And I'm gonna cut you off again, and I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah. No, you're fine.
When was the last time Aaron Rodgers even went to a Super Bowl? Why is he praised so highly right now? And he's only getting older.
And thinking of
in his prime, he only went to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. So what are we missing here?
So I'm gonna say it like this, Sam. And thinking about it just now, because the way you broke it down was really good. Knowing that he doesn't like training camp and he doesn't like postseason workouts, I would go with Carr because of the simple fact that I think Carr will spend that time, build those relationships, and you will have him for a longer period of time. Aaron Rodgers, honestly, he should retire. I know he could still spin it, but the problem is not that, it's the fact that he is so contrary and finicky. You don't know what you're getting every week. You have no clue.
It showed last season. He started off slow, real slow.
Yeah, super slow.
So imagine he has ties to both teams. The Jets hired his former offensive coordinator, Hackett, and the Raiders obviously have the Devontae Adams, so they can go that route as well. I believe those are the 3 options. If we're talking about him going back to Green Bay, those are the 3 options that Aaron Rodgers has because he hasn't been tied to anybody else, and nobody else has shown interest. So
I don't think he's going back to Green Bay. I think they're ready to see what Josh Love can bring.
Well, he's due what, $63 million this year?
Something like that, yeah. And that's the other part.
That's insane to me. $63 million for one player when you ain't paying off nobody else.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But before we get off of football, we have more football starting tomorrow in the XFL. I think I'm a little bit, just a tiny bit excited to see.
I am.
Just to see what these players. We got Josh Gordon playing on a team this weekend. You got quarterbacks like Paxton Lynch. Your old quarterback, what's his name?
AJ McCarron.
AJ McCarron.
Yep. He's in St. Louis
playing as well. So there's a lot of NFL talent in those rosters.
And the Rock will be here tomorrow. As a matter of fact, he'll be in San Antonio for the inaugural game of the San Antonio Brahmas.
I thought they're playing in Houston.
Or is it in Houston?
Yeah, they're playing in Houston.
I don't know, because they were saying he was supposed to be here in San Antonio tomorrow.
Well, probably to advertise, but the first game, they're playing in Houston Sunday, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, then, yeah, he'll be advertising here and then driving.
Yeah, he probably showed up to advertise. I was just looking at that. I want to make sure everybody got it right. Our statistician is out. The Guardians, actually, it's the Guardians and the Roughnecks, correct? Guardians and the Roughnecks, and that game is in Houston.
I thought it was the Brahmas for some reason.
That's where I'm probably getting. That's probably where I'm probably getting it wrong. Then
let's see.
The San Antonio Brahmas.
It is right.
Okay. Yeah. So that's where I'm wrong. Texas got like 3 teams. They do. They have a Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio, and that's where I was wrong. I apologize. Hey, you never know. Dallas might win something. That's all I got for football. We're going to move on. Speaking of winning something, let's talk about All-Star Weekend. Are we looking forward to anything? Are we looking forward to special skills contest, 3-point contest, slam dunk? It's not. I know it's not the same. But are we looking forward to watching anything?
I'm not as enamored with the NBA All-Star Weekend as I used to be. The 3-point contest should be good this weekend. I'm not going to watch the dunk contest. I'll peek in, but I'm not going to sit and watch it. It's not been the same. Honestly, I think they either need to revamp it or get rid of it, or even allow some of the young and up and coming dunkers that are in like the NBBL or the developmental league or whatever it is.
Well, isn't that what they try to do with Mac McClung being in the?
Well, he's on the roster. He plays with the Sixers.
Well, he's a G League player at best.
But he's on the roster, but yeah, I mean, it should be interesting because Mac McClung he's anybody who's seen him since his high school years, he has some bounce, and he has
the white Jimmer Fredette.
Jimmer Fredette, nice.
So, let's just keep rolling with NBA. The Celtics actually made the news yesterday, which we already knew, but they made it official in announcing Joe Mazzulla, something like that, as the permanent head coach. Well, so I wish Fleck was here so he can chime in. Is it the roster making the coach or the coach making the roster? I think that's an important question to ask when you talk about the Boston Celtics.
I think it's a combination of both, but I think he has a great scheme that he's implemented for that roster, and they're maximizing it. So I think it's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both. After the All-Star break, this is the season I'm looking forward to in the NBA when we're talking about buyout season. We're talking about players as Kevin Love. We're talking players, Terrence Ross. But the one name everybody is waiting on is Russell Westbrook.
And you know Terrence Ross signed already.
Did he?
Yeah, he's with the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, Phoenix is signing everybody.
They're not messing around, seriously.
So Russell Westbrook, and I'm going to say staying in Utah is still an option for him.
It is.
But I'm just going to throw one team out there, and I believe is how close is this team to winning, and do Russell Westbrook bring him over the hump, and that team is the LA Clippers.
Let's think about it. When was Paul George's most productive year since his injury? Who was he playing with?
Indiana.
No, after the injury, he
He
ended
went to
up getting
OKC.
traded.
Yeah, he went to OKC and played with Westbrook.
And his most productive years after the injury was with Westbrook in OKC.
Yeah.
I think he would do well to go to. Not only would he do well, it would be a smack in the face to the Lakers because he will be the unquestioned starter.
You know, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. But honestly, if I'm the Clippers, I would leave him as a 6-man player because he was doing well with the Lakers being the 6-man, and he's still the front runner to be the 6-man of the year.
He was, yeah. But they reached out to him and they have voiced that in their eyes, is a starter.
So I have one question. Well, actually, one more question for the NBA. We'll move on. You mentioned the Lakers. Had they gotten it together? Can they get it together with Mo Bamba and D'Angelo Russell and these guys they brought in?
I mean, everything is going to depend on one, how long is AD going to stay healthy? Two, is LeBron going to be able to finish out strong as he's been playing with the injury that he has? And I think Mo Bamba is going to be a good addition. I think he played very well, apparently, either last night or the night before. And D'Angelo Russell played well. I think they still need some pieces before they truly can make a true run, but I think they'll be able to get into play-in and be very dangerous.
I would love to see somehow if the Clippers get Westbrook and they can play that out, just like right now the Suns and Mavericks potentially first round matchup as well. That would be a matchup I would love to see because as they say, controversy creates cash. So if we can get those first round matches somehow, we obviously I don't think we'll get the Clippers and Lakers. Lakers got a long way to go. And even get to the play-in tournament. And speaking of controversy, we got one today that kind of threw me off for a loop. And it was with one of our favorite icons, Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods.
Wait, before you go on to that, know that the Kevin Love buyout has created a whirlpool also because now the Golden State Warriors are very interested in bringing in Kevin Love. And there's been conversation with the Dallas Mavericks wanting to bring in Kevin Love. So it's going to be quite interesting.
The Mavericks they need something more.
They need one more.
Need something more. Golden State needs health to get them back into where they were last season.
And that's the thing. You get a Kevin Love on that squad, and then when Steph comes back healthy, add him into that lineup. It could be dangerous.
Well, Kevin Love is not the Kevin Love that we love and seen in the past, obviously. But
he's a good role player.
And if he still has a shot, obviously he'll still be valuable.
Yeah.
And all depends on what kind of playing shape he would be. And that's another perfect segue to what I had started, playing shape. Tiger Woods started his first golf tournament of the year yesterday, and today there's one shot in particular where he outshot Justin Thomas, and as a joke he passed along a tampon to Justin Thomas that set Twitter ablaze about women's rights, women empowerment, misogyny, you name it. It happened today. It was just too much to follow, and I would throw in this question to you, Mr. Robinson. Was that a little bit too far, or was that just a tongue-in-cheek joke?
I think it was a tongue-in-cheek joke that we know what the society we live in today is going to take things extremely literal. So I think the fact that they took the joke that was between two people that truly have a good relationship and they joke like that amongst one another, and they perceived it how they perceived it. I saw comments where they were saying like he's the father of girls and this is the image that he portrays, and I'm like, I wouldn't go that far into it, but that's our society. If it's in the news and they can see it, they're going to make a judgment call on it. So this is the wave he's going to have to wait. He's going to have to ride this wave out. And he's come out and he's apologized and he tried to explain about their relationship, but people are going to believe what they want to believe.
I will leave my opinion to myself in this issue in particular, but I do agree it was two people in the moment. I think the only question that I would have is, how long has that tampon been in his pocket? And like, when did he decide now is that time? You know what I'm saying? Like, what if he never outdrew? He had to go home and just put the tampon up? Like, I don't know what the end game was here if he didn't do that one shot to outdrive him.
I didn't understand how. I was like, you walking around with a tampon in your pocket? Like, for real? Like, is this serious? Like, right now?
I thought that was a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
Speaking of crazy, we're going to wrap up things this weekend. I will start our final notes with happy 60th birthday to the great Michael Jordan,
Michael,
who just donated $10 million. $10 million, which is the highest to the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Highest donation ever.
One-time donation.
Yep.
In history. A couple things happened in sports this weekend. As we are the All Sports Matters podcast, we will throw this out there. The Daytona 500, which is considered the Super Bowl of NASCAR.
Yep.
Will be ran this weekend. I think Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
See, Damar Hamlin is still in my thoughts. Denny Hamlin, a favorite. I don't think Damar Hamlin can run 500 miles in a race car right now. But he's still Damar Hamlin. He sees himself playing. Real briefly, is that the smart thing to do?
Is it questionable? Probably, but hey, I'm gonna leave this to more seasoned Daytona 500 aficionados to speak on this, because I don't watch enough of it to speak on it, but I respect it.
That is true. So we got XFL action this weekend. We got Daytona 500 action this weekend. There's a UFC Fight Night card this weekend. Kind of a quiet, but still NBA All-Star obviously is what is dominating the weekend television. And we're going to end our show on a somber note. The great Tim McCarver, who I personally grew up watching him broadcast the playoff games, not Super Bowl, playoff games leading into the World Series, for me was a big part of my childhood, a big part of why I wanted to be a broadcaster / sports analyst / journalist. I thought about doing it all. He was a big part of that. So was Phil Rizzuto, who passed away as well years ago. Phil Rizzuto and Ralph Kiner, all of these greats, also hits me a little bit in the heart as well, letting me know that I am getting up there as well in age. So I got to keep things in perspective, obviously. I am thankful to be here. I am thankful to do this show. I'm thankful to have my brothers. Big Rob, you got any final words?
So I just got one super random fact. The father from Good Times, John Amos. I don't think a lot of people know this, but he is a former NFL player. People will not believe who the two. Can you guess who the two teams are that he played for? And they're in the same division.
You talking Browns and Steelers?
No.
Eagles, Redskins?
No.
I'm out of options.
One of them played in the Super Bowl. So he played for the Chiefs.
Oh, the Chiefs.
He played for the Chiefs. And the second team he played for was the Denver Broncos.
That is right. That is correct, fine sir.
So, yep. But no, thank you guys for coming in and being on here with us. Salute to everybody. Salute to our brothers. We love y'all. We know circumstances pop up. So hey, look, we gonna stand tall for each other. We here all the time, but we wouldn't be nothing without all of you. So thank you guys for tuning in and being a part of the show.
I totally agree with that. Life happens. Sports is our distraction from life.
Right. There you
so
go.
They will be back sooner than later.
Mm-hmm.
We love them. They love us. We love talking about sports because here, everybody loves football, baseball, or basketball. But for us, we really believe that all sports matters. See you guys next